There's a shockingly thin line between visionary engineering and straight-up corporate hubris. For the last year, the entire AI race has been a straightforward contest to build the smartest chatbot, the fastest code completion tool, or the most helpful digital assistant. But Google just abruptly flipped the board. They aren't trying to assist you anymore. They're actively trying to replace the entire development environment as you know it. This explainer is going to dive into a breathtaking leap in technology, but we're also going to look at the chaotic, deeply frustrating reality of what actually happens when a tech giant forces an entire industry to adopt its vision overnight. So, what if I told you an AI built a functional operating system completely from scratch in 12 hours and then successfully ran Doom on it? I know it sounds like a crazy thought experiment, but it isn't. It is exactly what Google orchestrated to demonstrate the sheer terrifying power of their new platform, AntiGravity 2.0. You see, they've completely pivoted away from building a traditional AI-assisted code editor. AntiGravity is no longer just a tool that sits quietly in your IDE waiting for a prompt. It is a massive agent-first orchestration platform. It doesn't just write the code. It literally manages the AI developers that write the code.
To really understand how they pull this off, we have to look under the hood. 289. Keep that number in mind. That is the number of tokens per second generated by Google's new Gemini 3.5 Flash engine. Now, in the AI space, raw speed is often just a vanity metric. But in agentic chains, where you have multiple AI agents constantly talking, passing code back and forth, and waiting on each other, speed is the fundamental bottleneck. Gemini 3.5 Flash was explicitly engineered to completely obliterate that bottleneck.
When you look at the landscape, the performance gap is absolutely staggering. You've got GPT 5.5 sitting over there at 71 tokens per second, Claude 4.7 Opus clocks in at 67, and then there's Gemini 3.5 Flash, casually pushing 289. That is absolute dominance. It's moving so incredibly fast that it enables parallel orchestration on a scale we literally haven't seen before. Google isn't just winning the speed race here, they are lapping the competition so aggressively that they can comfortably run dozens of AIs simultaneously without grinding your system to a halt.
So mechanically speaking, AntiGravity 2.0 is built on 5 highly integrated pillars. First, you have the desktop app. Second, there's a completely rebuilt command line interface written natively in Go to ensure maximum speed and asynchronous workflows. Third is the developer SDK. Fourth, and honestly this is the crucial one, is the managed agents layer. This is wild because it allows developers to spin up an AI agent via the Gemini API with a single call, dropping it right into an isolated, persistent Linux environment that actually remembers context. And finally, you have full enterprise deployment, which is managed directly through Google Cloud. Let's talk about that first pillar for a second, because the desktop app has morphed into something entirely different. It is no longer just an editor. It is a full-blown agent control tower. Through this one single interface, you can orchestrate up to 93 sub-agents at the exact same time. Imagine having a back-end agent writing your database schema while 3 separate front-end agents build out your UI, while yet another agent writes your entire testing suite. They're all running in parallel, all supporting background scheduling, and all instantly responsive to your voice commands. It is basically a terrifyingly efficient digital sweatshop running right there on your local machine. Which brings us right back to that spectacular live demo at Google I/O. To build that functional operating system from the ground up, those 93 sub-agents processed 2.6 billion tokens over 12 hours, and the total compute cost for the whole operation, under $1,000. Just let that sink in for a moment. For less than what you drop on a mid-tier laptop, Google's orchestrated swarm engineered an entire OS capable of booting up and running Doom live on stage. It is a genuine technical marvel. We are looking at a massive paradigm shift.
But then came Tuesday, May 19th, the update. And this is exactly where that soaring ambition violently collided with reality. You see, Google didn't just announce this revolutionary tool and politely invite people to test it out. No, they initiated a sudden, automatic, overnight update. Developers logged off on Monday using a familiar, helpful AI assistant, and they woke up on Tuesday to find their entire environment had been forcibly hijacked by AntiGravity 2.0. The entire tech community was caught completely blind.
And Google made it explicitly clear. There is no going back from this. That May 19th update kicked off a surprisingly brief transition period, leading straight to a hard, unforgiving ultimatum. On June 18, 2026, the legacy Gemini CLI and all your traditional Code Assist extensions will just completely die. They'll stop processing requests across all tiers. Google is quite literally burning the boats here. You either adopt their multi-agent orchestration or you get cut off from their AI infrastructure entirely.
And tapping into that infrastructure? Well, it does not come cheap. Google is heavily targeting enterprise depth now, moving way beyond standard editor plugins. While the base Pro tier is bundled, if you want to unlock the real power of these swarms, you need the AI Ultra plan at $100 a month, which gives you 5 times the standard usage limits. And for enterprise teams, the Ultra Premium tier is sitting at $200 a month. Make no mistake, they are pricing this software like virtual employees, not virtual autocomplete.
But honestly, the price tag isn't what sparked the massive community backlash. The structural conflict is deeply visual, and it is incredibly jarring. Your old IDE gave you granular layouts, persistent terminals, file explorers, and direct code blocks. You had total control. AntiGravity 2.0 strips almost all of that away. It replaces your comfortable, customized workspace with a massive, centralized chat interface. Developers woke up feeling completely blind because you aren't really writing the code anymore. You're just chatting with the machine that writes it for you.
And when you rip away that fundamental control, the friction points get incredibly severe. The rollout itself was just riddled with catastrophic bugs. If you still had the old IDE installed, the 2.0 update aggressively fought it for the exact same directory, wiping out configs and corrupting workspaces. Crucial visual indicators for compilation errors? They were suppressed by the AI hiding serious non-breaking bugs. Repository management got shoved into a clunky manual command line process, and worst of all was the broken process tracking. If you close an app manually, the chat interface assumes it crashed, and it just endlessly generates false error reports until you physically killed a process in your OS monitor. It was a mess.
So the community didn't just complain, they actively rebelled. Whole teams are out there manually pulling the escape hatch. Developer forums are absolutely flooded right now with a unified 3-step survival guide. Uninstall 2.0, roll back to version 1.23.2, explicitly disable auto-updates. Developers are intentionally barricading themselves inside legacy environments just to regain the steering wheel. They want their direct code editing control back, and they are more than willing to sacrifice 93 parallel agents just to get their standard terminal working again.
Which leaves us staring down a really striking question. Is pure speed worth losing total control? Google undeniably engineered an absolute masterpiece of modern computing with Gemini 3.5 Flash. Building a working operating system for $1,000 in 12 hours absolutely proves that the agent-first future is incredibly powerful. But by forcing that future onto users overnight, actively breaking their tools, and stripping away their autonomy, Google created a fascinating paradox. They built an AI that can perfectly orchestrate practically anything, except a smooth software rollout. Think about that the next time your system demands an update.